Hello and welcome to updates for supports and accommodations for the spring 2022 assessments. My name is Jen Paul. I'm the English Learner and Accessibility Assessment Specialist in the Assessment Office at the Michigan Department of Education. We have some really cool, awesome updates coming for this spring's M-STEP assessment. We've got two new designated supports. The first is a stacked Spanish social studies option, which has never before been available for our students. This is going to function exactly like it functions for the M-STEP mathematics. So if you're familiar with that form of the assessment, there is a designated support option that can be enabled for individual students that will show students the Spanish form of the test question and content, as well as an English form of the test question and content. Spanish social studies is going to work the same way. Students will see a Spanish version of that test question in addition to the English version of that item. The other new things that are going to be available are the online Arabic and Spanish glossaries. There are two glossaries. They are separate. There's one for Arabic and one for Spanish. This is going to function in some way like the L1 paper glossaries do for the paper pencil test form. This means that it's going to follow the test and provide words that are specific to each student for every single test question. So what this means is it's going to provide students with a more efficient way to access terms that are actually on the test without the student having to flip through a hard copy version of a paper-based word-to-word bilingual dictionary. And again, both of these options are available for online, and I'm going to add one more thing to the stacked Spanish social studies option for students. If you weren't aware, students do receive Spanish audio for the M-STEP mathematics assessment if the Spanish form is enabled for them. It will again function the same exact way for the stacked Spanish for social studies. One of the most frequently asked questions that we get, and that of course educators have to think through, is who are these supports actually appropriate for? Let's talk about the stacked Spanish for social studies first. This is really truly intended for students who are highly proficient in Spanish and have high Spanish literacy skills. That's what you need to be able to have in order for a support like this to really be beneficial for a student. For students that might be using, or for students that you may be considering the online Arabic and Spanish glossaries for, something like a glossary, which is a word-to-word dictionary, it does not provide definitions at all, is going to be appropriate for intermediate to nearly proficient English learners. And I say that because these students, because they're intermediate and nearly proficient, they don't need to take so much time to look up individual words. They don't need to look up that many words. Now think about for a second, if you are a recent arrival from a country and you're an English learner and a student does not have very high skills in English at that current time. If you hand them a glossary, they're going to have to look up absolutely every single word. And that is really not efficient. And I can imagine that if you were to put yourself in their shoes, you would find it very, very frustrating to take an assessment with that type of support. So some students may, of course, want that type of support, but just be, again, judicious with thinking through who these supports are actually going to benefit in your classrooms. There are some new resources that are going to be available for you to review this fall. One is an updated spring 2022 supports and accommodations guidance document. If you're not familiar with this document, this is the compendium of almost everything that you need, especially for the M-STEP assessments and My Access assessments related to supports and accommodations. This is going to have significant updates. Not that there's a lot of updates to what we're actually offering, because I've just reviewed with you what the major changes are in terms of additions to what we can offer for some of the statewide assessments, but the document itself is going to undergo some significant changes for readability and clarity around some of the supports and accommodations topics and information. I want to make sure that everyone is aware of the teacher guides that we have available on the website. If you go out to michigan.gov/MSTEP, you can find these really nice, very useful MSTEP teacher guides. Of course, they would be beneficial for coordinators who are overseeing the assessments, but they would also be very beneficial for classroom teachers as well that are working with students. We have 3 separate guides. One is a MSTEP guide for teachers of students who are visually impaired. We have an MSTEP guide for teachers of students who are deaf or hard of hearing. And we also have a MSTEP guide for teachers of students who are English learners. Also coming down this fall is going to be a set of new supports and accommodations videos that folks can watch on their own time to familiarize themselves with some of the information that is provided in the supports and accommodations guidance documents, as well as many of these guides that we're producing for our state assessments as well. So be on the lookout for that information as it is released this fall and becomes available to you. When you have questions about supports and accommodations, I want everybody to know that we are here to help. The government is here to help. That's true. I am here to help you. I very much want to be able to do that. And the only way that I can actually help you is if you give us a call, send us an email, and contact us. You can send us an email at mde-oeaa@michigan.gov, or feel free to give us a call also at 877-560-8378. Thanks so much. Happy testing season, everybody.